Hello and welcome to Hobby Blocks. This is part 2 of the Printing for Profit series, where I'm going to show you how to turn a simple mug into a printed mug. Look at that, isn't that brilliant? Geordie's biggest fan. Yes, so mugs are one of the biggest profit makers in the printing business. Everybody likes a mug. They make great gifts, or if you're lucky, if you can get in with a company where you can put their logo onto a mug, you can make a tidy packet. You can get these simple mugs very, very cheaply wholesale, and you can sell them at a massive profit. So it's a good thing to do. So this episode, we're going to show you how to do it, how to turn a plain mug into a printed mug. The procedure is fairly simple. You will need either a mug press or a mug oven, but we'll go into that in a bit more detail. So the first stage is to get a design to put onto the mug. Now you can do your own design, you can buy ready-made designs, you can use the Cricut design database to buy a small mug design. There are many places online you can get both free and paid for professionally designed pictures, prints, or if you've got family photographs, your children, your parents, your dog, cat, whatever, they all go brilliantly on a mug. So first stage is to print your design. So let's look at that now. So before we can print the design, we need to know the physical size and shape of the mug. So we'll take a standard mug and we'll take some measurements. So first of all, we need to know the diameter of the mug. Now there are two ways of printing a mug. You can do what's called a complete wrap mug, where the design comes from the center of the handle all the way around back to the center of the handle, and there's a small joint just there. But for simple designs, I recommend doing an offset design which comes about 20mm from either side of the handle before the design starts. So we'll take a rule, tape measure, and just measure the diameter of the mug. They're a fairly standard design, so once you get the measurement once and make a note of it, you know it's always going to be the same for this size mug. So that's 26.78. So make a note of these measurements, and you want the measurement of the height of the mug. So in this case it's 93. So write down those measurements because you're going to need them for the next bit. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to prepare the design that we want to print onto the mug. You can use whatever software you like. Personally, I use Affinity Publisher 2. So once you have your application open, I'm going to open up a template I've already prepared. I'll turn off the guides for now to make it a bit clearer for you. So this is basically, you should get two mug prints to a sheet of A4 paper. If you're using a different size paper, you should still get probably two to a sheet. So this outer box here is the size that we measured earlier. It's the physical size of the mug, its full diameter and its full height. The inner box is where we're going to place our graphics, our design. If you want to do a full wraparound box where the design goes from the inside of the handle all the way around to the other inside of the handle, you need to use this outer box. But today we're going to use the inner box. Put our graphics within this area, then we know they are centered correctly on the mug. So I'm going to first of all turn on the guide which I've created for this template. This is basically a center line for the left part of the mug and a center line for the right part of the mug, and lines to make sure we keep within the height of the mug without getting too close to the edge, otherwise we may lose part of our design. So I'm going to bring in a graphic. I'm just going to place this graphic here, Geordie's biggest fan. So I'm going to put that here, using the guides to make sure it doesn't get too big, and then center it on the center line. I'm going to copy that with this software. We hold the Alt key and just drag a copy over and center that again. on the center line of the right side of the mug. Pardon me. So now we want to get 2 prints to a page, so I'm going to click, shift click, so it selects both graphics, and then alt click and just drag those down again, and that should line things up nicely. Just check that the center mark is on the center mark of the print. So now it's ready for print. So we go to our file, print menu. Now you must print to a sublimation printer. It's no good trying to print to a regular inkjet printer or laser printer. It just will not work. So it must be a sublimation printer installed with sublimation dye ink. So I'm going to select my A4 sublimation printer. Now we'll look at the properties, and you'll see that it's using A4 paper, but most importantly, this software automatically mirrors the image, so it's flipped before printing. If you have a design with text, as we do here, if you don't mirror the image, it'll print out the wrong way around when you come to print it. So you must mirror the image before you print. It's not that important with graphics that don't have text, but generally most sublimation software that comes with the sublimation printer will automatically mirror it for you. So everything's ready, so yep, just check everything, click OK, and that should pop out the sublimation printer. We'll see that in a second. So it's here, it's in the printer. Let's take it out. Here we are. Now, as you can see, as mentioned before, it's been reprinted backwards, the text being printed backwards, but when it's applied to the surface it'll be the right way around. You'll also notice when you print onto transfer paper, which is special paper designed for sublimation printing, the image looks rather washed out, but don't worry, that's perfectly normal. Once the image sublimates onto the surface of the product, it'll be bright and vibrant, but it will look quite washed out at this stage. So the next stage is to cut out the design ready for the mug. So we'll do that next. So I'm going to take my Cricut trimmer, and I'm just going to basically cut around the inner box, and then we're ready for applying that to the mug. So we'll do that. Now when you're trimming, you want to make sure that you cut off the line. If you leave the line on, that'll also be printed onto the mug. So always cut the line off. So just turn it round, do both sides. I do like this Cricut guillotine. I have various guillotines, but this is probably my favourite because it's so simple and so accurate. So anyway, I'll cut off the rest of the lines, and we'll come back once I've done that. Okay, so we have the cutout ready. The next task is to apply this to the surface of the mug. So first thing is to make sure that the surface is as clean as you can get it. If you use a microfibre cloth and just give it a rub, that'll take off any grease from your fingerprints or any other dust. So you can clean it with isopropyl alcohol, but these are fairly new mugs, so it shouldn't be necessary. So give it a good wipe, and then take your design and apply it. Make sure that if it's got text, that it's the text is the right way up at the top of the cup. So I'm going to take some heat resistant tape, my little fancy dispenser, and just apply some of that to the back of the paper, and then say double checking that you've got the text that should be at the top, like so, and basically put that on the mug. Try and centre it both vertically and horizontally so that the gap between the handle is the same on both sides. Like I say, make sure that it's lined up with the top of the mug and the bottom of the mug. There's a tiny little gap there, and then apply your tape like so. Make sure it's all nice and straight. So that is now ready for the press. Let's move this out the way and we'll bring the press in. So this is my mug press. There are two ways of what's called cooking a mug, that is to transfer the image onto it. You can either use a mug press or you can use a convection sublimation oven. Basically, if you're just going to do 1 or 2 mugs, then the press is what you need. If you're going to batch produce mugs, you'll find having a sublimation oven is a lot quicker because you can do up to 9, depending on the size of the oven, up to 9 mugs in one go. So we're just doing 1 today, so we'll just use the press. I will show you the sublimation oven in a future video, but for now we'll stick with a simple mug press. I've been talking to the wrong camera by the look of it. There you are. Okay, back over to the bench. So this is the mug press, quite a simple design. Let's plug it in, get it heating up while we talk about it. Now, a mug press is basically, turn it on, is an element which heats up. You put your mug in here and this surface heats up incredibly hot and physically clamps the paper against the surface of the mug. As I've said previously, to sublimate you need pressure, heat and a bit of time. So this machine applies both the pressure and the heat at the same time. Now, different types of mugs, tumblers, etc. all need different settings, different temperatures and different times. So most machines come with a booklet which gives you all of the times you need. I know that this particular size mug needs 280 seconds at a temperature of 180 Celsius. So I'm just waiting for the machine to heat up. If you can see that on the camera. Can you see the screen or not? Yes, there it is. So it's currently set for 280 seconds and it's counting up to 100 degrees. Once that gets to 180 we can do the mug. So you can see when you're handling this, be careful, it will get incredibly hot, so make sure you have some gloves, some heat resistant gloves to hand for when the machine's finished. That when you take the mug out it'll be red hot, so be careful. So I'm just waiting for that to heat up. When it's ready we'll come back. So we put the mug in, be careful not to touch the element because it is extremely hot. So slide it in from this direction until the handle is sitting up vertically in the middle and then pull back the clamp and just squeeze. That locks, as you can see from the side here, it presses the element tight against the side of the mug, pressing that paper in really close tightness to the mug surface. So we press the play button and that will count down 280 seconds, and once it's done we'll come back and take it out. So while we're waiting for that to cook, as it's called in the trade, I'll pop this up for you to see. If you'd like to get a hold of one of these particular machines, I've designed a simple system rather than looking for links and things and descriptions. If you simply click, where is it? Oh, I don't know, it's over there, there. If you scan that QR code with your mobile phone, it'll take you to Amazon in your own country. So if you're in the US, the UK, Brazil, wherever, it'll be the Amazon in your own company where you can pick up one of these machines. So, but if you're old-fashioned like me, you want a traditional link, check in the description below this video, click the more to expand the description box, you'll see links for all of the products used in this series there. Okay, so that's almost ready to come out, so make sure you put on some heat protective gloves because it will be extremely hot. And we don't want to put this hot cup onto your workbench, otherwise it may melt your mat or whatever surface you've got that you need to protect. So I also recommend that you invest in a heat mat. These are very useful. It's like an ironing board, but it's very mobile. You can put hot things onto it and it won't damage it, so highly recommended. Right, this is now ready to come out, so let's take it out. Careful, very, very hot. So lift that out and put it onto your heat mat. Turn off your press and allow it to cool down. You'll hear the cup making little cracking noises. That's just it contracting a little bit as it cools. So move this out of the way a bit so you can see the cup better, and then we'll take off the paper and see how it looks. So let's go back to the overhead cam, and here we are. I'm going to use some heat proof tweezers to take off the tape, and let's see what we've got. Oh, look at that. Isn't that absolutely brilliant? Absolutely brilliant. Both sides, perfect print. Now personally, I think that's one of the most satisfying things you can print. You get instant results for very little effort. So something brilliant to give as a gift. Friends, family, you can put your kids' pictures on there, your pets' pictures on there, your granny, your granddad, parties, weddings, small businesses, put your logo on there. It's a very profitable product for a very small investment. Even the machine is very affordable. The papers, nothing. The inks, nothing. So very easy to make a profit on things like mugs. So that's it for this episode. Part 3 will be coming very soon. Not sure what it's going to be containing just yet, but you'll find out when you watch it. So until then, thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.